things going round in your head today. There's no one. Hello. Thank you for stopping by. My name is Darlene Lovell-Parker, and this is my introduction. Actually, it's coming at a great time because I was right in the middle of a conversation with the guy that supposedly is the most interesting man in the world. Well, he wasn't that interesting to me. Matter of fact, he didn't say a word. Well, anyway, I'm living and I'm from Southern California, Los Angeles area. However, I have lived for the last 14 years, or homesteaded basically, in San Diego, specifically in Coronado Island. I work for the United States Navy. I handle a multitude of things, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I spent 30 years active duty in the Navy. Being in the Navy, that you usually kind of morph into what's needed to get done. So, starting out in the Navy, I was in the cryptologic community. I wasn't a code breaker per se. I was more admin type than anything else. But I dealt a lot with personnel security and investigations, and so I kind of bled over into doing that stuff for the Navy. In addition to that, I was a command master chief. That means the most senior enlisted on board ships. And so I also am a manager for about 3 or 4 programs for the Navy dealing with sailors and their higher educational goals and also their academic skills. So I spent 30 years in the Navy, going out to seas, going all over the world, seeing every country I could imagine. And there's still a few I haven't. But if they're landlocked, I probably didn't. But if there was a port to pull into, I was probably there. I started off with my associate's degree at Harold Washington College in Chicago. And after that, in my Navy's travels, and I managed to squeeze in a master's degree. I wish. My bachelor's of science in criminal justice from National University. I have tons of hobbies. Not really. I have one big hobby during this time of the year, and that's football. I love it. I love football. I I'm a season ticket holder with San Diego Chargers. I'm still a season ticket holder. Imagine that. And I think I would get involved in college a little more if my alma mater actually had a college football team, which it didn't. So I kind of like looked at certain colleges that I hold near and dear to me, like USC. I took a summer program at USC when I was in high school in journalism, and that's kind of stuck with me. It meant a lot. I also was a cheerleader in high school, so I went to cheer camp at USC. So it took all these years, which is probably about 30 plus years, for me to come back to the place I kind of started out. My strengths, strength finders. In the Navy, after 30 years, they kind of understood that being in one institution that's so regimented that they need to put me on a couch for a while. So they sent me to a career psychologist, and I think I had every test I could imagine, or you could imagine, and to try to find out, really where my passion lied. And the psychologist told me at the end, well, you know what? What your test is showing and what you're saying are two different things. So, in other words, you don't know what you want to do. Well, I knew what I liked, I thought. So I kind of just settled in on just waiting for something to appear. So when I started to read Strength Finders, I kind of looked at it with jaded eyes, to be honest. I was thinking, okay, this is going to be another, this is what you really want to be. This is what you really want to do. And it was just, I wasn't looking forward to it. Actually, one of the programs in the Navy that I manage is the Navy's contract with Cooter, and that's a career assessment tool for sailors. And so I thought I was going to deal with something similar to that. Well, actually, in those 34 things really hit home. And I had my top five strategic, uh, individualization, relator, what were my other ones? Self-assurance, significance. That kind of blew me away because it actually kind of keyed in on exactly what I feel are probably my strongest tools that I have when I was a leader in the Navy, and even now when I collaborate with um, with peers at work. The individualization, excuse me, individualization. I kind of picked up on that in my early years in the Navy, when I kind of figured out that I had to look at everyone individually to be able to get them to do what needs to get done, and also to know what motivates them. And so when I was reading that, it just, and it states, this is something they would say. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I would say. Strategic, I would say, is probably my strongest suit, even though it wouldn't seem to be that way considering I'm talking forever. But um, strategic is probably the one thing that I always looked at, and I wasn't sure why I was looking at certain things a different way. Or I would be in a meeting and everyone would be talking about a subject on how to get this problem solved. And I'm thinking, am I being too simplistic, or why does this seem so a lot simpler for me to kind of like think in my head, well, why don't we just do this? So I still need to read more into the Strength Finder, but I would have to say that this is kind of focused me in a direction to kind of capitalize on my strength instead of looking at the weaknesses, just as the book stated. My hobbies, besides football, is gardening. I have a flower garden out front, and I really pay a lot of attention to it during the springtime, and I don't go out there at all unless I'm passing it by and grab a weed or two. But in my town, Coronado, um, they have home front shows. So they look at every home front in this whole town, and they decide on, blue ribbons, red ribbons, yellow and white, blue being the best. So I am like running 4 years in a row in the blue ribbon department. And when I got the year before I got my first blue and I received a red, which is second place, I just had a fit. I didn't even want to, people put it up in their windows and stuff so you could see, oh, wow. I didn't even want to look at it. I didn't even want it anymore. I gave it to my husband and said, here, you take it. But I've grown up in the last 4 years since I've gotten blues now. And I think I can handle it better if I don't get a blue. But that's a big hobby of mine also. The other hobby is riding my bike, and I ride my bike quite a bit around town. It's a cruiser. It's not like a speed bike, but I really enjoy riding the bike around town. And I think my next hobby is going to be schoolwork, lots and lots of schoolwork. Thank you for your time if you were able to get through this. If not, I truly understand. And I look forward to working with you all. Goodbye.